It's me, Roseanne Barr, and I'm talking to a wonderful person on Twitter who I follow, and she's very brilliant and funny, Sharika Soal.
Hello, Roseanne.
Hello, glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we have a lot to talk about.
We do.
Where should we start?
Anyway.
I really want to get into the whole CPS and how terrible it is, and how CPS is guilty and complicit in the trafficking and abuse of children.
Yes.
And but we wanted to talk about Jussie Smollet too.
Yeah, the liar.
Yeah, the guy that he's out of it, isn't he?
He's totally out of it. I knew it was crack. They said that the police.
Oh, it was crack?
Yeah, one of the brothers gave him some Molly or some ecstasy, so he was totally high when he made up the story.
Oh.
That came out today.
Oh, it did? I'm not on top of all this news.
I knew he was high.
I thought I didn't ever believe him. I mean, well, first I was like, oh, that's so. If it's true, it's so horrible. But I didn't believe it because I just don't think Trump supporters are like that.
They're not.
No.
They're not. Nobody has time to literally try to lynch somebody. I just feel like that's a lot of effort.
A lot of time. Well, why do you think he did it?
I think he was high. And I think, we're looking at people like Colin Kaepernick, who, to me, Kaepernick's a fraud too. Kaepernick was adopted by white people. He has white siblings. And were they treating him bad? Did they chain him to the backyard the whole time he was growing up? He didn't grow up like a slave. Like, where's all this oppression come from?
But I think it came from his girlfriend. She's the leader of the Women's March thing, and she's, a Farrakhan lover, and she doesn't like Jews very much.
It's crazy. Why is there so much Jew hate all of a sudden?
Because we're so cool. But, so I knew she was going to get him in trouble, and everybody's saying, she put him up to it.
Right.
But, yeah, he's a questionable personality, too, but...
I think he saw a payday. He's been watching Kaepernick get the glory. Even Hillary Clinton, she didn't win, but she's still like an icon because of her failure to become the president so many times. So I feel like he was willing to do that. It's kind of like, I'll do this thing and I'll be that thing.
But it's just like the worst because of the horrible history in this country towards African American people, and then like to exploit that, such a spit in the face
it is a spit
of
in the
actual
face.
history.
Yeah, because CNN is totally best friends with David Duke. Every time they talk about the president or they talk about racism, every single one of them are discussing David Duke. They have David Duke on speed dial. So it's like, you're upset with Trump, but like you're the one with David Duke on speed dial. So I feel like it's a projection all the time.
Yeah, David Duke is definitely getting more and more into the Democrat Party, isn't he?
He's a super Democrat. He's the best liberal I've ever seen.
He kind of is. Yeah. It reminds me of Martin Luther King's letter from a Birmingham jail about liberals and how, two-faced they are. And
yes.
Of course, I've seen that myself in Hollywood.
I'm sorry.
Well,
I just want you to know that all ugly people look like monkeys. You do. It's not your fault. That lady was ugly.
Well, I didn't say anything about her looks now. Everybody says that.
The only people that are mad are ugly. I just want you to know that.
I will accept that. I totally will accept that.
That's what I decided to tell myself.
But so, you said that, that he did this during Black History Month, so it's like a stain on
He
the whole...
destroyed it. Black History Month was supposed to be to show us as strong people who've overcome, who've gone through this stuff. So now it's like, by the way, Martin Luther King also had a dream that 50 years after he died, we'd all just start making up lies. I don't think that was part of the dream.
Right.
So, yeah, he's definitely done that. Because, there's like the crazies, that are really racist towards everybody, black and white on both sides, who are going to use this to,
yeah, they're
cause
going to spin it however they choose to spin
exactly.
it. It could really
I'm sad.
backfire on black people and like real racist incidents that they lived through.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
somebody's
hate
going to
anyone.
throw that around, and you know,
Right.
he's kind of dumb though, because when you see like he goes back to the hotel and he still has the rope around his neck, so you know he doesn't even take it off or anything.
Right.
He waits for the police.
No black person would do that. Like,
No,
it's been ingrained
human
in our
would do
brains
that.
to, like, be afraid of the rope. There's no way you would just, like, naturally keep it on. Like, just keep it here.
Yeah.
Keep it comfortable. Look at the beer. Take a selfie. Hi, police officer. Do you notice the noose?
Yeah,
like, that's
he's
not
just
what
crazy.
happened.
But the thing that makes me mad, as my son said, is he's not fired, like I did, like I was. He's not fired, and they're kind of defending him. Well, he's very professional on set. Well, hell, I was professional on set too. I did all the goddamn work.
Right.
But I got fired for, you know, I say it's a political tweet.
Yeah.
But he committed a crime.
He did commit a crime.
And
it's
they're
been
like,
more than 24 hours. And, you know, they weren't calling for a job, and they were talking about slashing his scenes. No, I think it was like, with you, it was so swift, and they acted like you killed somebody's
I know.
grandma.
They
you
act
know?
like I did.
Caitlyn Jenner actually did kill someone, you know.
I know. I was wondering about that too. I was wondering about that too. I think she was checking her mascara in the rearview mirror and crashed into.
She couldn't drive it.
Oh my God! Oh, that's so terrible.
It's horrible. But yeah, you know, I think the way
crazy.
you've been treated is totally unfair. And I never really witnessed Jewish hate before until I just saw it, you know, because to me, you know, you have light skin, so I would figure they would treat you the same as the white people, but then I found out that I don't understand why there's so
No.
much hate towards the Jewish people.
Well, you know, people. You know, it's taught like all hate. It's taught from, you know, your parents and in their homes and at their knee. You get all that stuff. You get.
It was like a
all your
trophy to take a
racism.
Jewish woman down.
That's
why
what I
didn't-
think.
That's why I didn't, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, it was not just a Jewish woman, but a big mouth one that, you know, defends Jewish people.
Right.
And they're likened to see us as the bad guys right now,
Right.
which makes me mad.
I'm sorry.
But it works just like racism, anti-Semitism. It's the same thing, same root of having to demonize a group of people and project all of your own crap onto them, like you aren't, you know, those
Right.
things that you're accusing other people
Exactly.
of.
It is. And it's worse when we have women like AOC, Alexandria, I don't know how to say her last name, I don't really care. Cortez, whatever her name is. It's worse when we have women like that representing our Congress members. I mean, she really is an idiot. Like yesterday, she was complaining about meritocracy. Sorry.
Meritocracy.
Yeah, she was talking about that, and I'm like, but just a week ago, you were so excited about no more access to jobs. You were happy that Amazon was not coming here. So how, on one hand, can you be upset about how people have access to employment, but then single-handedly be taking part in making sure we don't even have, you know, new jobs being created in New York City?
Like
So
I
think
said,
she's
you
an
know, they
idiot.
get paid. Those people, leftists, they get paid to destroy whole communities, just like the far right does. I mean, they're just all getting to where they just meld into the far right and the far left. Now it's just like this, you know.
They're cousins.
And they're against just normal people and and everyday people's hopes and dreams.
They're against an array of opinions. It's like, we must be the zombie drone and do this thing and don't laugh too loud. I don't know. It's like a weird, it's like everything's turning into Scientology. Like everything's turning into a weird cult.
Isn't it?
I don't know what's going on.
That's a good observation. It is.
It is.
And like everybody's afraid that if they say one thing or step out, which I think is part of why I got canceled so fast, because, you know, they want everybody not to even try it.
Right.
Don't say it, don't do it.
Right.
You know, just stay there, you know, and keep your mouth shut. Which that's how it was when I grew up as a girl.
Right.
Hadn't changed at all. So I admire you because you're because of your own personal story and what you've overcome.
Oh, thank you.
And so, do you want to talk about that for
Sure.
a bit? Like, you're a victim of abuse as a kid,
Yeah.
and you blame Child Protective Services, right?
I do. I do. I was adopted when I was 4, almost 5, with my older sister, who's 16 months older than me. We're 16 months apart. So we came from the same adoption home. I had a little brother, but he was adopted at like 6 months old or something. He was adopted right away. Make a long story short, I was adopted by these people that were supposed to be my foster family. I understood they were my foster family. Some time passed, and I remember my mom coming and asking me, did we want to change our names? I didn't. My sister did. So we were adopted. Soon after that, I will never forget, like, my dad was just weird. Like, he would start reaching for me when I was, getting out of the shower, and he would say things like, oh, I'm just trying to see if you wet yourself. And I just always thought that was weird because, I just dried myself off. So it was just stuff like all of a sudden I just realized, like, my new dad was just weird. And
As soon as they signed the papers, almost?
almost, it seemed like.
Oof,
It seemed
that
like.
was a trap and a half. Huh?
And my dad was very weird. I have a younger sister. I won't say her name, but she has cerebral palsy. And I just remember just sitting there watching my dad supposedly stretching my little sister's legs at night. But I didn't understand, why would he need to be stretching her legs at night? Why was he doing that? Why couldn't he do that when she was awake? And I just didn't like it, And so I used to try to, like, infiltrate that. Like, what are you doing? I used to, like, sit by my little sister's door. And I don't know, he did it to me too, And then there was times as I was getting older, like from 7 to 9, I honestly think that he was putting stuff in my breakfast and in my food to make me sleepy and stuff, because I would wake up like in my bed. And now that everything's happened, because these people ended up sexually assaulting my son, and I've always talked about this on social media, but I've never been able to. When you talk about it on social media, you just have like the video, you're just like going through the words, but like the actual blank genitals, Blank provided a credible forensic interview at the Child Protection Center detailing his grandfather kissing his penis in the living room of the home he had resided in with his maternal grandparents. Anyway, it's a whole report, and, people don't see it, so it's just me kind of trying to let them know, like, CPS is a pedo ring. They know a guy who knows a person, who knows a judge, who they can call for an emergency order. It's not always a process of going into a huge courtroom and having, like, all these people come in with their, like, the guardian ad litem. There's people that know a social worker, that knows a CPS worker, that knows a judge that's willing to sign off. And me and my sisters were adopted privately that way. I don't remember us going into some huge court and it being a huge thing. These are supposed to be my foster family, and all of a sudden they turned into my new family. And then, my mom, I understood that she worked for the cops. I understood that Linda Sauer worked for the Division of Criminal Investigation in Iowa. So it was weird to see that my adopted father was behaving this, and then she would tell me, oh, you're dreaming, or he would never do that, or if he did that, it was an accident. Like, she was very, it was just, it's hard to understand when you're 9 and then your mom's like the good guys, So it was just like a lot of mental torture, I guess.
Yeah, it is mental torture. How did you come to terms with it, and how old were you?
When they raped my son, I came to terms with it. I had fought so hard to always try to tell CPS. And I remember, I'll never forget, when it came down to my son, I ended up having the same social worker at 14 was also now me and Jacob's social worker over this. That lady quit after the court. She quit. Like, I don't know if she wanted to retire, but I think she realized what she had done, because, they wrote me off as a crazy person. They believed everything Linda said. Linda said I was crazy. She said I was, lying. They kept pumping me full of medication. I gained 100 pounds.
Jeez.
I was in and out of hospitals, and nobody was listening to me because of Linda's position. So you end up forcing all that down, and you end up getting older, and by the time you're 16, your father's not attracted to you anymore. So that problem stopped, But so you shove it all away, and you just try to go on with life, and you just try to forget that your parents were like that, So yeah, when I was 28, it happened. It all came. I had no choice but to face what I've been ignoring,
Well, how did you handle it differently with your son?
I told my mom, are you going to tell him that he's dreaming too? Are you going to tell Jacob that he's imagining this too?
What'd she do?
She got in a lot of trouble with CPS because I guess the whole my mom is the reason that it ended up getting all founded. I mean, she felt so entitled, and she just said things like, she tried, we almost made the mistake. I should never let, she just, when she was talking to CPS and they were doing an investigation, even her lawyer felt that the thing she was saying is not something a woman says who thinks that the 4-year-old grandchild was raped. Like, that's not
Right.
that's not natural for the woman to respond the way that my mom was responding to this.
What did she do? Take your dad's side?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and she still has.
Yeah.
And so then CPS,
And so they were like,
they ended
oh
up
my
founding
God.
it against her. They ended up deciding that she too was a pedo, and that she was helping my dad, and she's been helping my dad have access to children.
You know, that's what nobody ever talks about is the mom and
The
how
woman.
they are. So, what's the word? Huh? Well, they're collusionary. That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's so common, and we're not supposed to ever mention that either, right?
Mm-hmm. No, we're not. The women pedos and that our females can be just as dangerous, for little kids as men. My mother had such a huge job. The only reason I decided to speak out when it happened to my son was just that I feel guilty that it happened to my son.
Of course you
I
do.
feel like all the times when I thought about just leaving my family and just having nothing to do with them, I just felt like if I would have just had strength that day, then this wouldn't happen to Jacob. We'd have a difference. So now I won't be quiet about it anymore, because I know there's
can you
other
do?
girls like me.
What are you trying to do? Like, I mean, what's your long-term goal? To get them in jail?
Yeah, I mean, get them in jail or just shake up CPS that we are going to grow up. You're going to have to be held responsible for not checking up on the kids, for giving these kids to all these pedophile people, to the highest bidder. We grow up. I grew up, I was adopted from Chicago. There's 3 of us. And my brother, who got adopted by a different family, he ended up with pedophiles too. So how do we all end up with with these powerful, rich people who had, high jobs that should be good for us to go into their homes, we'd be taken care of, but they were pedophiles.
And they worked for the police?
My mom worked for the Division of Criminal Investigation. My brother's father was a CPS worker. My brother got adopted by a different family, so his family was a CPS worker, and
It's like hide it in plain sight, isn't it?
It is. It's like you're kidnapped in plain sight. Because as a child, I began to understand that no matter who I told, my mom was basically like their boss. So there was nothing, I could tell them all day, like, my dad is raping me and my sisters, please get us out. You have to stop saying that, we're going to put you in the hospital. And that's what they did. They put me in the hospital, strapped me down, shot me with trazodone, gave me tons of medication, said I was crazy, said I was all types of things, said I was seeing and hearing things, put me on antipsychotic medication because they wouldn't listen to me that my father was a pedophile. And the worst part about it was when I was 11 and I decided to fight back, and my mom called the cops on me, and I just remember the police pinning me down, and my nose was bleeding from fighting the police, and I just remember thinking, like, this is my life, like, this is it, and you can't do anything. Like, this cop should not be pinning me down, roughing me up. He should be rescuing me from these people, but instead he was listening to my mom and my evil dad, and then they sent me away, and I stayed in group homes from 14 to 17.
I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
It's okay.
So terrible.
I feel like God gave me the space to make it up for it.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank
But
you.
think about all the kids that it's happening to now. I mean, it's like a systematic.
Right in our
it's a
neighborhoods.
pedophile system, right?
Mm-hmm. Right in our neighborhoods. There are stolen children in all of our neighborhoods because a foster parent is just that, a foster parent, and a lot of times.
So you think they're very well connected and they're in with judges that are into it too, right? I've been saying that for 30 years because I saw it too.
Yeah. I don't know if the judge always knows that the person calling
But
to have,
sometimes they
but
do.
sometimes they do, you know. But I definitely think it's a ring of people that know that this person, you can go and take this child because the supervisor is also crooked, so he doesn't care. I mean, there's always these CPS people getting arrested for having so much child porn. Like,
I know, right?
I think it's pretty much go work at CPS if you want to have child porn.
And
Don't really do that, but
access to children.
Exactly.
Where else would you go?
I know, it's like hiding in plain sight.
It's
like,
disgusting.
and people won't look, will they? They don't want to see it.
They don't want to listen. They don't want to think that, like, your neighbor could be harboring children. You know?
What in the hell are we going to do?
The kids have to grow up and they have to get brave like me, and they just have to say it, you know? I was silenced for a long time, but thank God for MAGA, because I saw these people that were totally against pedophilia, and they
That's why I voted for him too. 'Cause
Amen.
when he was saying all that he's going to take it all down, and it's so entrenched all through our government.
It is.
And our churches, and every place where there's a system of authority, it's really entrenched in there.
It is.
So I was like, man, he's so cool that he, first of all, knows it.
Right.
Because, I mean, they probably all know, but they act like they don't. But that he knows it and is like, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm a grandfather and I'm not going to put up with it.
Right.
And I just love him for that. And he's taken down a lot.
I love it
He's
too.
taken down a lot of them, a lot of traffickers.
More
and
than
abusers.
Obama.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry, but how does Obama not know that Joe Biden likes to grow up little kids? I don't, you know, I mean,
No, it's all over the videos.
like, to me, then Obama's a kid groper too, or he a kid groper enabler. I mean,
It is kind of weird that he sent his daughter to work for Weinstein, his young daughter. I mean, would you do that? A guy you know has
keep
done
it in the
terrible
family.
things.
I don't know.
I love you. You are not afraid. I
Congress
just love
is
that you're
ISIS.
Congress is ISIS.
David Duke is a Democrat.
I mean, I just love that you are not afraid to just say it.
Thank you.
I mean, because these are scary times.
They
I
are
mean,
scary.
we're not.
I'm down with that.
Well,
MLK me out.
let's do it more. I'm so glad you came,
Thank
and
you.
nice to talk with you. And
too.
God bless you.
Thank you.
And if I can do anything to help you get a few of these motherfuckers, you just call, and I'll do whatever I can.
Thank you so much. You're such a blessing to me. I'm very grateful.
Well, you are a brilliant woman and very beautiful.
Thank you.
So where's my funnel? Where am I camera?
This is your camera now.
Okay, well, you know, Sharika Soal, everybody, and she's. And what's your Twitter at Sharika?
Yeah,
What
it's
is it?
Lady Thriller 69, but the 69 doesn't stand for anything shady.
Lady Thriller 69. Okay. You have to come back when we do more.
Yes, we will.
We'll tear into some shit.
Yay!
Okay.